So how does a company that's built on the whole idea of free, open-source software turn around and become a cloud giant? How do they take on the very tech titans that were threatening to put them out of business? Well, we're going to dive right into this amazing business case study on MongoDB and the incredible high-stakes pivot that completely reshaped their future.
$17 billion. That's roughly what MongoDB is worth today. But, to really get how they pulled that off, we have to go back to this critical moment, a moment when the company was facing a huge dilemma that really struck at the heart of its identity. How do you survive? How do you make money when your main product is being given away for free?
You see, MongoDB started out as this open-source powerhouse. Developers absolutely loved it for its flexibility and its power. But here's the twist. That very openness, the thing that made them popular, became their biggest weakness. It's something we call the open source paradox.
And here's the problem in a nutshell. On one side, you've got these massive cloud providers like Amazon's AWS, taking MongoDB's free open source code and then selling it as their own paid service. And on the other side, well, MongoDB got nothing. Not a dime of that revenue, no code contributions, nothing. This practice even had a name, strip mining. And it wasn't just unfair, it was a genuine threat to their survival.
So faced with this existential threat, what did MongoDB do? They didn't just play defense. No, they launched this incredibly bold, two-part strategy. It was designed not only to protect what they had built, but also to create an entirely new engine for growth.
And their plan was brilliant, really. It came in two steps. First, a defensive move. They decided to build what you could call a licensing moat to protect their code. And second, an offensive move. They transitioned their entire business model over to the cloud. So let's break down that first step.
Back in 2018, MongoDB rolled out something called the Server-Side Public License, or SSPL. This was their moat, and it was clever. It essentially told the cloud giants, hey, if you want to offer our software as a service for money, you have to open source your entire stack that you use to run it. This basically forced their competitors into a corner. Contribute back, pay us for a commercial license, or go build your own thing from scratch.
Okay, and this is where it gets a little complicated and honestly pretty controversial. The SSPL meant that MongoDB's code was still source available. You could see it, you could read it. But because of those new commercial restrictions, it no longer fit the strict definition of open source. It was a smart business decision, for sure, but it created this huge philosophical split in the developer community. So, with that defensive moat in place, MongoDB went on the attack. They knew the future wasn't just about selling software licenses, it was about consumption-based cloud services. So they pivoted the entire company to focus on a brand new flagship product, Atlas. Atlas is what's known as a database as a service, or DBAS. What does that mean? Well, instead of you having to download, install, and manage all the software yourself, you just pay MongoDB to run it for you, perfectly, in the cloud. It's way simpler, it's more scalable, and, critically for MongoDB, it created a direct, recurring revenue stream from their actual users.
And did it work? Oh yeah, the results just speak for themselves. Today, Atlas makes up a whopping 71% of MongoDB's total revenue. The pivot from just selling software to becoming a cloud service provider wasn't just a success, it completely redefined the entire company.
The story itself is compelling, but the numbers are just undeniable. Let's really look at the results and see how this massive strategic gamble paid off in black and white. Just look at that growth. We're talking a 3-year compound annual growth rate of almost 32%. The financial results are crystal clear. That move to a recurring, usage-based cloud model created an incredibly powerful and predictable engine for revenue.
And it wasn't just about revenue. In one single quarter, the company added 2,600 new customers. That was their highest net addition in 6 years. It just shows you the incredible momentum they built, even as a more mature company.
But maybe, just maybe, this is the most important number. The number of high-value customers. We're talking about companies spending over $100,000 a year grew to over 2,500. This proves they weren't just winning small accounts. They were getting deep into the enterprise market. The biggest companies in the world now trust MongoDB's cloud platform for their most critical applications.
So MongoDB won, right? They stared down the biggest players in tech and built a multi-billion-dollar business. Case closed. Well, it's not quite that simple. The verdict on their strategy is actually pretty complex. It created a trade-off that people are still debating today.
This quote just nails it. It really captures the essence of their whole journey.
They solved the paradox. They figured out how to build a huge business on top of free software. But the price they paid was sacrificing that pure open source label that defined them in the beginning. In effect, some would say they created a walled garden around their own technology.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one I want to leave with you. Was this shift a necessary move to protect their innovation and to fund all their future development, or did it damage that collaborative spirit that made open source so powerful in the first place? As AI continues to rewrite the rules of tech, the answer to that question could define the next chapter, not just for MongoDB, but for the entire industry.